pleased to host you here in the beautiful building of the Kadıköy municipality. We were talking about the new media collector issue today with three very important collectors for new media arts. I think that you know everyone here. Agah Bey, dear Feride, and Alain Servais. He came especially from Belgium for this panel because he's really in love with new media art, and he's like a missionaire of the new media art. I don't have questions, but I want to really debate about the new media art collecting, and I will prioritize Feride as a woman, and I want to start with her. How your journey started, and what mean art for you?
To be honest, this is the only panel that I came without prepared. But thank you for the invitation, first of all. How can I summarize that? You know, actually, I'm not a financial investor, so collecting is not about for financial investing for me, for sure. And I'm passionate about art, I can say. To summarize my background, I can say that I am a very stereotype white collar professional. I'm well educated and I have a good job, etc. But you know, after all, those things are nothing. And when I mature more, I noticed that, you know, I'm more sensitive to the issues of the world, issues of the people. In the 21st century, we have been experiencing, observing mind-blowing technological changes, transformation. But on the other hand, there are still serious issues around the globe. You know, the autocratic regimes, the inequality in income allocation, the environmental issues, all those problems. And I noticed that the contemporary artists, they are very brave compared to me as a white-collar professional, for sure. They are very brave and they care about these issues and they want to change things or make people, you know, aware of these things. And I felt that I can impress myself better, you know, and I was interested in sharing their journey around this, and that was what, you know, collecting contemporary art meant to be since the beginning. I don't know, did I answer your question or do you want me to elaborate more in some areas?
So I will go forward with Alain.
Okay.
So you can have a rest. So when we discussed before the panel with you, you said that you would more like to focus on what mean art to you and what is the role of art in your life. And I really like, so I would like to repeat your definition of art.
First of all, I'm so sorry for my very poor Turkish, because otherwise the panel would have been in Turkish. It would have been much nicer sounds than English, but okay, we've got to speak the Yankee language. So I agree with what Feride said. She would need a good consultant in business, so that I will explain it in a more analytical way. That's what the consultant is paid for. So it's because a long time ago, I'm coming from the same background that she did, and I had the same feeling. I was starting my career in New York, and I was going into museum, and it was making me something. It was giving me serenity, opening up something else. So what was funny is, as I'm very analytical in my life, I went to the dictionary and I said, what is art? And I promise I did it. So I went into the dictionary, Larousse, it was in French, and they said, okay, what is art? And then I was extremely frustrated because the answer was, art is what an artist decided is art. So I was extremely frustrated. So one of my search over 24 years, because I still do it, is about trying to understand what art is. And that's why it's very important to start the discussion here within new media, because new media is only a media. It's only a medium. And what is the most important is that it stays art. And I know we talked about this with Feride before. It must stay art. It's not a gimmick. It's not about doing another painting of Van Gogh with a blotter. This is useless. This is not adding anything. Okay. So again, I went further. One definition I really liked was I heard from Mera Rubel in China one year, and she said, art is a language. First of all, c'est d'abord a language, meaning you need to have something. The artist must express something. If there's no expression, there's no art. So art is a language which you open your hearts. As Feride said it, you feel there is a gap that is filled up by being involved in art. And art brought me a lot of things on the heart level, emotional level, because you can read a lot of report from PwC and you get much smarter, but it's not the heart, it's something else. So, and the third thing, so art is a language which opens your heart to the other. And the other is what Feride described as a big O, is everything that is outside of you. It's about the world in a wider, but it can be another gender, another race, another nation, another social class, another element. And it's broadening your world. So that's one of the definitions I enjoyed. I made it a little bit larger by referring to the philosophy of the West, which is the allegory of the Plato's cave, or if you want to translate it into Matrix, art is about taking the blue pill or the red pill, okay, to make it easy for you. But it's very simple. If you decide to take the blue pill, you go back to sleep and you keep going like a machine in your life without understanding what you're doing, okay? Or you take the red pill, which is art, and then you start seeing the world in a different way. But that's what I'm expecting from art, is to give me another view of the world. And then maybe it will free me and make me a better person. Not only me, but then the people around me. So as always with consultant, you are too long, but that's why we are paid so much.
We can finish now.
Okay. So I will go forward with you. I know that the collection of Alain is composed by everything except paintings, and like Feride, but Feride have some sculptures as well. You too.
Just painting, no paintings.
And we call it new media, but in the case of Agah Bey, it's something very impressionant for me. He is collecting, I don't know if we can say it collecting, the right of a performance from a Turkish artist, Ekin, and it was the first time I heard something like that. So I think about in the case of your tree, it's not about collecting, it's more about supporting and making some space for the artists who work with new media, including the body of the artist itself. So this is your parts, if you want to develop a little bit.
Can I say a few things about their comments and the general concept of art as well? First of all, if you allow me, Bihter Hanım, I want to make a correction. You said three great collectors. if Feride doesn't mind, I will relegate the two of us to Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray. But he is Real Madrid, or he's won the Champions League for 14 times. Because I know Alain for quite some time now, he is very special, not about the collection only, but I think his effort, relentless effort to make art life, art world a better place with right systems, with right ideas, right way of governing art is tremendous, and he is working on it because he's so passionate about it. That's what I wanted to say first. And
I'm blushing.
No, but it's true. Everybody knows you. Who knows you is obvious. If you don't mind, before going to this type of art, which is like, for example, performance, I would also like to say a few words about what is art and why art for me, type of thing. I read the other day, some years ago, a statement somebody said about collecting. Collecting is partying, it says. It's like a party, and who doesn't want to party? But for most collectors, it is a party, like going to a party, becoming a part of the party. But some of the collectors, a much lower percentage, in my opinion, it takes collecting much more seriously. It becomes a very serious, lifelong endeavor. And these two are very different. So buying art in big numbers doesn't matter, and collecting art, I feel, is totally different. And I like to see myself in the second category because I take it very seriously, first of all. And in order to collect, you have to have one step before collecting, that you have to get engaged with art. There is no Turkish word for engagement, unfortunately. Being engaged is not a direct translation. It's very difficult to, but I think it reflects a massive expectation from art. If you want to get engaged, you have to get motivated, first of all. And art provides you that motivation in a big way, because art is a sort of an expression of, how do you say, innovation or creativity or dreaming in a different way. And who cannot get affected by this if you are really open your heart and mind and you go into art. For example, that's why I feel that collecting is one of the actions. If you are engaged in art as a whole, collecting is only one part of an action. I mean, you can do many other things with art and still enjoy art greatly and change your life accordingly. Because I expect, for example, this creative world to expand, to challenge my thought process. It's so important. I have been enjoying this for so many years because I am engaged in art. Whether I collect or not, independent to that, to be honest. Collecting is, as I said, either you go to a party or you take it seriously, you work very hard for it. But that's what I wanted to say. I think my background in collecting, the roots of it has a very similar way with Feride, in my opinion, because of living in Turkey. Because I was, maybe some of my friends here, I can see, know my background, but I was collecting, buying, changing my word, I was buying a lot of paintings starting from mid-90s, and I was I realized now that I was in a cage at the time, because I always say that there are two types of art lovers in Turkey. One of them has recognized and have been to Maçka Sanat, and the others who haven't been to there. Do you know Maçka Sanat? It is the most progressive art gallery in Turkey in 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, early. And there were two avenues of art at the time. One of them is, as Halil Altındere calls them, the God artists. Artists who think they are God. All the big names of painters, I have been exposed to them in the 1990s, in my early junior days in art, and I felt like a insect in front of them. They made you feel like an insect when you visited there. Whether they are good art or bad art, I don't care. I am not in a position to comment on it. But that was a different world at the time. Whereas the Maçka Sanat presentations of art were extremely avant-garde conceptual art, which even if you go into those exhibitions, 99% of the people thought that this is not art. So art is up to you, actually, as you say, and what the artists say and how you feel about it. But they wouldn't consider art. But I missed that. For no reason, I guess there was nobody around me to carry me into that world. So we were obsessed with this buying paintings, not figurative paintings, but at least we were young and you go to abstract. But then I realized in early 2000s, so 7, 8, that this is not for me. I mean, aesthetics is great because it keeps the staying power of art, in my opinion. Something's very aesthetic. People keep on liking it independent of the time issues. But what else was there? There was not much. I mean, the expression, can you, is it a language, as you put it well? I thought no. So I decided to move out from that completely. And then I realized in 2008-9 that there was a new generation of, not Maçka Sanat generation anymore. Maçka Sanat is, for example, Füsun Onur. I mean, or Cengiz Çekil. I mean, this new generation of artists are so unique, so provocative, and they have an idea to voice. To the public. They have a problem. They have a problem, and they wanna make that problem magnified through their quality of work and creativity, effectively. So, and I fell in love with that because it was so close to my heart. Suddenly, I have always been in the social non-profit organizations. I think I listed them. I had been in the boards of 17 different NGOs in my career in 40 years. So I was very close to the social issues, social problems. But because I was running a large Turkish corporation, you cannot be political. And I had that problem during the Gezi issues. I was one of the most active Twitter users before that. Even though I wasn't political, I was at least giving my views and my opinions on various things, not sharing how good the food I went in a 2 Michelin star restaurant, I mean, or how nice Thailand is, type of thing, which is full of Instagram and Twitter is full of, unfortunately. So I suddenly stopped that after that because I was worried that my company and even myself could be harmed effectively. So without realizing, I came into a self-censoring position. And what can be better to use art while you are self-censoring yourself? Why don't you use another better language to feel good, at least, and to once you collect and start sharing it with public, it is a different way of, I mean, if you are collecting political, social, critical work, then I think it's another expression, way of me expressing and sharing with the public, which I couldn't do it personally myself. So I didn't answer your question at all, and this is typical in.
I totally agree
This
to you, Agah.
is typical in panels. Everyone has an idea. First of all, this wasn't the question you wanted to ask me, because she's.
But I'm
So I am
satisfied
not
with-
prepared. I didn't come to chapter 5 yet on the
That
book.
is
Sorry about.
exactly how I felt over those years as well.
Yes. So I
Exactly
felt
the same.
so when you
Yes.
say it.
But I'm really satisfied, and it's really good that you mentioned Machka Gallery. It was designed by François Morlet, a designer, a French designer, and the aim was a little bit to create an underground world, because all the artists who was there had a cause in life. So it was an underground meeting place, and it still be the same. So it's an important issue. And my questions for Feride, if you want to answer my question, okay? Otherwise, you can.
No. I will answer your question in part of the next answer.
Just I have one addition to Agah. During those periods, we were lucky and unlucky, because the state or the governors they have no interest, no clue, nothing about what is going on the art world. That is something really very unlucky and lucky, maybe, because we could have expressed ourselves in that way. Otherwise, I don't know what could have happened to us. But it was actually a pity that it was the case.
True.
My question?
Yeah.
Agah Bey mentioned the engagement about the engagement in art, and when we discussed before the panel, you said you need 15 years before your first art collecting piece. So you need time to be in. So you.
It
will...
happened to be like this. It was
Yeah.
not a plan, but it happened like this. Do you want to tell me
Yes.
this story? Okay. So originally I'm from Bursa. It's a smaller town compared to Istanbul, but developed and industrialized town as well. But every city apart from Istanbul is different in Turkey. So when I was raised in Bursa, I was dreaming when I'm in the middle school of having a flat with all big abstract paintings. That was my dream when I was in the middle school. Then I came to Istanbul in 1994 to go to university. And around 1998, I visited an exhibition. It was at an Istanbul Biennial or so. I don't know, I searched, but I couldn't find documentation of that exhibition. But it was, I stepped in. I don't know how I went there. It was in Beşiktaş area, where right now the presidential office is located. And I stepped in the place, and there were some screens, tube TVs screens, and there was a work with a TV screen, small one on the floor, and there were cables around it, cables to attach to a hammer, kind of thing. And at that time, there was the version 1 of mobile phones, and the only automatic thing in our life was, the interactive thing is the doors at the shopping centers, if you can remember. And it was an interactive world, and there was a man in the TV screen in a small room saying and screaming, take the hammer and save me from here, out of that room. And there was nobody to ask around that, not many visitors. And I showed some, I was brave, and I took the hammer. Then the man started shouting, put it down, put it down. And I put it down, and I ran away from the space before the security comes. And there was no text, no paper, or maybe there were, but I didn't know that I may check a text about the artwork around it. So I was really shocked. And maybe I had my own renaissance. I was just about to graduate from university, or has just graduated. And then I became a frequent visitor of Istanbul Biennial first, and later maybe some fairs, museums, but I couldn't buy anything for the following 15 years maybe. I might have not afforded it as well at that time. It was difficult living in Turkey as a young white collar, but it took some time. And again, 1 year in Istanbul, Contemporary Istanbul Art Fair, I was making a tour. I have seen a video artwork. And I this time read and discussed the meaning of the work itself. And again, I felt really very good feelings about the work. And I made a very quick decision and I bought that artwork. And it was not a rectangular, a vertical screen video. I had many difficulties in the Vestel after sales service because I could only afford Vestel screen at that time, and they had difficulties in installing it on a vertical. So I couldn't convince the man to install it on vertical type. So that was the beginning, and since then I start researching and visiting many biennials, fairs, museums, and in parallel I start, buying as well. Yes, but it was not something that I planned for it, so it happened to be like this.
Then it flows.
Right.
And for Alain, in your collection there is no paintings. And you have your reasons. And when I read this article, when you are saying except paintings, I thought that canvas as well was new, because the art started on the wall of caves. So every time has its own medium by itself. For example, when we see the young artists who are using entre guillemets new media, it's not new media for them. It's the contemporary media. It's the actual media. And go back to your questions. Why only new medium and new media artists in your collection?
You didn't read well, because new medium is only as any other medium except painting. But all the rest, photography, video, installations, everything but. So new medium is only one part. And as I explained earlier, it's about the way of art is expressing itself. You write from that point of view. That I started collecting the first work of digital art, and it was in 2003. So it was, at the time, I was just making an observation. Like everyone on this panel, you see, one of the characteristics of a collector is curiosity. And that makes a difference between a collector and someone else. We go back to the famous little pill, is that either you're curious and you take the red pill, either you're not curious and you stay in the blue pill. So curiosity is one of them. And as you've seen in all the description, it's about curiosity. And that's our strength and our disease in some way. So when I was looking, I said, every part of history, let's say, even the Impressionists are born from the Industrial Revolution, because before that there was the academy that decided how you paint and so on. So Impressionists happened because of Industrial Revolution that suddenly broke the society that before that was about lands and army or nobility. So, it broke the whole system, because suddenly you could make a lot of money by doing iron or steel or whatever and so on. So suddenly it exploded the society, and this is why it was possible to paint as you wanted. There was also a technological revolution, because before that you needed to mix your pigment in the studio, and suddenly you had the tube. So the tubes are a technological revolution. That's Van Gogh and Monet and Manet took on the road to paint on the roads. So suddenly I said, oh yeah, that's interesting. Then I looked at, you know, the surrealists, and the surrealist movement came on the back of the translation of the theory of dreams by Freud. So you see, and you know, Warhol came from the consumption society, saying, you know, after the Second World War, no tanks anymore, but a lot of washing machines and television and so on. So, you know, the guy was anticipating. So I said, okay, let's try to be interested in something that is going on today. And definitely at that time, first internet, first phones, first personal computers, and so on. So I said, okay, let's go to digital art. So it was one of the medium. But the key thing, and I repeat it again, it's about expressing art, like Agah described it, like Feride described it, like I described it. And that's the problem sometimes, that we fall in a very social, difficult moment. Because, you know, now everything is supposed to be read on an Instagram feed. 3 lines, nothing else, an image. And that's what's frustrating. I was speaking to there's an amazing booth here at the fair at DAM, D-A-M, the gallery from Germany, who brought some works that were pioneer works, you know, some work from 1986. And what's interesting is that then you had all the movements of, you know, the NFTs things, and then the whole thing happened. But then people were, frustrating to me, ignoring the 20 years or 30 years that were before. And for me, the guys that are doing the same thing as 30 years ago are not important. What's important is to collect the guys that were doing it. So I don't remember what your question was, but I think it was roughly in this, no, sorry. Oh. I will be very, very short on this. You know, why no paintings? Is that it's an important thing. Is that people forget that the art world is a microcosm of the larger society, nothing else. You know, every time the art tried to go away from society, it gets lost. You know, it becomes a product. So, society, that whether we like it or not, we spoke about social elements. You know, we are white professionals. So we are in a country that is not always white. And I was speaking about this, you know, how many Turkish people have got blue eyes and the whole thing. So the thing, one of the things that we cannot forget is that we are here talking about art selling for 10,000 euro, but, you know, next door there are people that are working every day for the minimum wage. So we cannot forget that within the art world there's also a class war. Okay, and the class war is the fact that artists are normally not so wealthy, and they want to change the system. They want to question the system. Why are we doing this? Why are the white people on top? Why are the men on top? Why are this one? Why are the American on top? Why this? You know, what about religion? Why can I wear the veil or not? There was a beautiful piece about this in the modern Istanbul modern. So. The thing is, then I say, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, social class, that's true. But the problem is those artists, they need the wealthy people to survive. So, yeah, that's interesting. So you've got roughly 40,000 collectors in the world. For me, a collector is someone buying more than 20 works per year. So 40,000 in the world. And you've got 40 million artists. So who's deciding what is produced? The 40,000. And for a reason I don't understand is that every single chic collector, that's the one partying that Agah was describing, they want to buy paintings. And, you know, and any trace of paint on a canvas is considered art, when we all have to justify that this is art, what we're buying, that computer things, that screen things is not sure of being art. So I decided, you know, the painter, they don't need me to support them. So I let them for the party guys, and I will focus on the other guys. And that's why it's only about painting, because photograph has got the same problems as video, has the same problem as digital art, has the same problem as installation, has the same problem as performance. So I said, okay, no painting for me, which doesn't make a good investment, but I don't care. So that's the painting story.
Thank you. And I will take the answer of Alain to repeat my question to you about the buying the right of performance of an artist, because it's more than a satisfaction to own artwork, the satisfaction, it's more than this supporting parts, and I really want to hear your feelings about it.
Yes, thank you. Actually, there are two points in this answer, in my answer. The first one is actually the collection itself, what it means, what each work means for the collection. Some times ago, I separated my collection from myself. I said that the collection itself has to have a mission of its own and a lifespan of its own, independent of me. I think that was very important because I have been making speeches in many business forums for institutionalization of family businesses. And I always say the same thing to them as well. I mean, why do you need the business? There is not a one right answer. If you need the business for you and your family to become rich, you can use it as a disposable razor. When you finish with it, you move on to something else. Stop and start another venture later on. But if you feel that your business is independent of you, which you expect to continue after your retirement or your death, then you have to do something else. It cannot be reliant on you anymore. And that's why these multi-generation companies can survive. That's the only way to survive, to be able to repeat success independent of the people who created that success, so that it can be repeatable, the success. So I thought that there is not so much different in the collection as well. I wanted to create something which is independent of me, but also represents me somehow. So this dilemma. So in 2015, one of the best days of my art journey, I had with two good friends, our collections were exhibited in Salt Beyoğlu. 90,000 people visited it. It was a primary school graduation for me from art almost. After that, I stopped. I said, I have a bigger responsibility now. What next? And I created a mission to for the collection, and it is not something constructed. What I felt so far was put into writing to give me guidance for the future, and it is actually the mission of the collection is to document from an artistic point of view, from the way artists see it, the artists express it, all the social problems going on at the beginning of this millennium in countries like Turkey, which have human development problems. Most of the Latin American countries, most of North Africa, Middle East, Asia, the players are different, but the topics are very, very similar. And unfortunately, now we are taking the Western world down with us as well, so that their problems become quite similar to us. So to document this from an artistic point of view, and all these social problems, how it impacts minorities or people who are vulnerable in the system. And I am particularly interested, or the collection is particularly interested in engineering of societies into one type of engineering, and don't accept others, complete rejection of others going on around the world. So if within this area, any artwork, except paintings, for me too, for some reason I have nothing against paintings, but I don't feel my heart beats two times more per minute if I see a non-painting art. This is the only difference. It's a selection process. So anything which falls into that overall big umbrella of the mission, I am interested in. So there has to be an expression of an idea, which is quite unique, quite provocative, quite, how do you say, challenging, which illuminates today and maybe give direction for tomorrow, reflects the past. So I have learned so much from artworks about individual events which happened in the history, such dramatic events, or such events which had dramatic results on people or in communities, societies, or nations, that is repeatable. It repeats all the time, but the first time is always more important. So these type of things is important. So from the collection perspective, this is my journey. But from the artist side, as you said, the supporting issue, I tend to, I don't limit myself, but when you look back, I am always more interested with living artists because I have a journey with them. In most cases, not all, of course, but I have a journey with them. It is a very stimulating relationship. For me, definitely, and sometimes to the artist as well. So they benefit from my, not always, but benefit from my friendship. It is important to be a part of the journey. So in my collection, I would say 6 or 7 artists I have selected some years ago. I want them in 20 years' time, in their later parts of their careers. These are mid-40s artists, all of them now. In 20 years' time, 25 years' time, when they look back into their careers, I want them to say, who were with me in this journey? Maybe 3, 5, 7, but not 50. I mean, if you're not an international artist, I want to be one of those 3, 5 names they named.
That was chapter 3. So you can try again with the same question later.
Yeah.
Because eventually we'll speak about that performance that
Okay.
but that will be for chapter 3.
Okay, again? So I am doing very well in avoiding the
I have many
question.
things to talk about.
No,
as
it's
well.
okay
You're
for
becoming
me.
a politician, Agah.
I will take as well your answer to jump on to Feride's question. The supporting part is very important for me because after all you said, you are more focused on humanistic side of the arts, communication between collectors and artists. And you are also a supporter of, for example, the creator of noise events, Hande and Arda, and you are a collector of them, and also you became a friend and you follow their journey. I know that you follow them in any country they are. So it's related of your feeling of being part of their journey, not collecting and being collector. Right? You can say yes, no. It's
Okay, thank you. Actually, I don't know where to start. But one of the artists that you mentioned, he said to me once, if you were not an art collector, you might have been a serial killer as well. Because I worked hard and I do due diligence in every detail. I thought he said something good, not bad. I don't know. So maybe who am I to support an artist or an artist initiative? I believe sometimes, but sometimes I believe yes, I can do even as a small collector of a small country. I believe in Turkish art market is less than 1%. Even it is less than our share in the GDP of the total global economy. Who am I to support and achieve something? But sometimes I feel that I can do something and make a difference. Maybe for one person for young art student or one maybe, and it would be a win for me and win for her and him. Maybe I can give this as an example. I'm working in an international company and they spend millions of dollars and time to upskill ourselves during our career journey. For example, for technology upskillment, they are investing and they are giving KPIs to us to motivate us and to improve and to develop ourselves. And 10 years ago, 8 years ago, there was a big change around technology, digital upskillment, and I was also assigned as a leader of that in Turkey in my company. So during our conversations with my artist friends, they had concerns that the technological upskillment of the artists in Turkey were lacking behind the international world. And they dreamed of founding an initiative, a new media artist residency program, Pixel. It was a difficult and something for me as a very diligent mindset financial people, a person. It was really very difficult how to achieve it. The first thing that I thought about it, we should rent a place. And how can we afford and sustain it for a long, long period of time so that young artists come and they were digitally upskilled and so on. But they achieved it themselves during the COVID period. And I was just an observer of their achievement. At that time there was COVID, we were locked down, and the technology and the online world helped. So it was an interesting journey for me, and through this journey, I usually don't like talking too much at panels, but there have been many occasions and instances that I was invited and I start talking. Then I found out that it is also something motivating people or inspiring people who doesn't know how to start. Or actually, the most important part is who believe that they should be very, very wealthy to buy an artwork. I believe it's not the case. You may be a young graduate from a school, and you may be in the beginning of your career. Maybe you can buy an artwork from a young artist, and maybe you teach him or her English if you know English. That is also an asset, I believe, to become an international player. So this kind of thing, when your income increases, you can buy editions, some prints, and then the career of the artist develops and you develop as well. So I start talking at majority of the panels I was invited just to tell the people that it's not impossible and there are other ways as well. Even I believe this very small thing, because I want to repeat who am I to assist and support artists and the art market in Turkey. But I believe that made a difference as well. I know that many of my friends, I had an impact on them. They start buying art. I'm really very, very happy about it because, you mentioned the figures. If there is no one buying, no institution, no private collector, how people will do their living? And it doesn't have to be big institutions buying. Even one person buying art can make a difference, I believe. So that I can maybe describe how I helped maybe or supported to some extent.
The question is for you, Alain. Do you have any concern about how will be your collection after you pass away? You have any after your life, because your collection has a life?
40 years from now.
I'm not planning to die, so we're in new technology, so I always said I'm the first guy to buy the new bodies. I mean, I try to negotiate with Brad Pitt, but he's getting old too, so I tried someone else. First of all, I see many gallerists here. So the gallerist here came to say, how am I going to sell art to those guys? So unfortunately, the three guys you have here are, because guys, we can say guys for girls too, yeah. The three person here are dinosaurs, okay? So in the current art markets, that kind of interest, passion, the fact of studying that, Feride is able to read 10-page on an artist when most people now want to read 3 lines. Okay, that desire to go in research. Agah, I know, is a great researcher, amazing. And the fact that curiosity, the fact of not needing to go to the mainstream to please our friends, because we don't buy the paintings that our friends would see in our house. So the result of that, and also the support, because all of us, Agah, 17 NGOs, plus many other things in the art world, Feride, this fair, and myself as well. I've got the residency. So very often I try to explain to people that collecting is nothing in the fact, and I think Agah said it as well, it's only part of my interest in art. Art is a way of living. It's really a way of living in every part of the thing. The good thing is that in my job as an investment banker in Wall Street, it really helped me because it broadened my view of the world. And it helped me sometimes when you see a situation where supposedly it's impossible, artists help me to think it's possible. So the problem is the galleries, they listen to those 3 person and it's, they think, wow, great collectors. But the problem, we are 3 only. So, because currently the art market is very different. It's 3 lines. I would compare it to, we love the movies from the Cannes Festival, and the market likes the meme, the like of, one picture. It's everything is about meme, instant pleasure, instant like, and the whole thing. So, what happens to my collection will surprise you, and it's the same. The acquisition is not important. I understand that Bihter thinks, acquisition, it's something important. You're acquiring something. You have an object. No, it's not about that. It's just about what the art brought me. And in a way, I give something back to the artist because he gave me that pleasure. And that's why I understand when Agah says, I can support performance. It doesn't matter whether it's a performance, a video, because you know what? A video work is worth not more than a performance. Because you think, wow, Agah, you're buying nothing. I'm sorry, but my video is worth nothing too. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just about saying, you gave me a fantastic feeling, I give you money. Because very often we are all in that situation because we involved with artists. Sometimes we hear, wow, with this piece you bought from me, I could pay my studio for 1 year. So, that's always support, whether we're buying, whether we're supporting, and the whole thing. So, because we are supporting arts, you didn't get that question because we're all too long, but I know it was part of your question. Why are you collecting? Collecting is, of course, it's for us because it's a discovery. And we are giving money back to the system. Sometimes we're also preserving works that maybe will be useful for the next National Museum of Turkey. And the works will be with Agah and Feride, because no one else would buy them. The artist is dead and bankrupt and the whole thing. So who would preserve those works except those collectors? So then you understand my position that I don't care what will happen to my collection, because my collection served me already. And I served the system in return by injecting money to the places where there's less money than the markets. So what will happen to my collection? Either my kids are interested, either they don't like it, and they put it on the sidewalk. And you can come and pick it up. I hope they will make an announcement I'm dead, so you can start putting your tents, something. But I'm sure Agah will announce it in Turkey. He said, And then come home, and I guarantee you that after a few months there will be works on the sidewalk, because we all know that some works deserve to be preserved and some others are not important. But that doesn't matter. It gave us pleasure at one point, and we let it go. So I'm hoping it's answering your question this time.
Thank you so much.
He answered my question as well, so
What was the question?
Yeah, let's give some question for the
Yes.
audience, maybe, if
Thank
there are.
you. And if you have any questions, please.
Hi, thank you so much for this amazing panel, by the way. I was curious with the impact and the interplay of AI with the art world right now. Oh, thank you.
With the impact and the interplay of AI with the artwork right now, whether if it makes any change in your perception of the art and the artists, and if it has any impact on the preference that you guys have for the future as a collector.
Today, there's so much art that could be done by AI, that the only thing is changing is that it will be cheaper to produce because you don't even pay the artists, okay? It's not challenging the true artists. The true artists, they're safe. All the bad artists, they have a competitor, okay? And this competitor is fast and cheap. So for me, it doesn't change much except the, the kind of eye candies. I like this expression, eye candies, or meme, tons of it everywhere. And it's because, in a way, we all came because we were very weird, strange, original people. Now everybody find it fancy to be collecting art, except that they don't want to make the efforts of what it goes with it. So those people, they want something they recognize, and they like brands, Gucci, Prada, things, everything. And they go for that same way of thinking. And that's why they're going for no depth. And all that art can be replaced very easily. Jeff Koons and the whole thing can be replaced by AI in 2 seconds. So yes, Jeff Koons will be in trouble, but I don't care. But the good artists, if you work hard as an artist, still work very hard because you've got to be the machine. So, and I keep sometimes repeating, I was speaking to someone doing a panel in Singapore yesterday, and I was telling, what you're writing sounds like ChatGPT. So, find something better to say, because it's so bland that forget it. And so much art is bland. So, I don't know what you...
I think at the moment still, I may change my mind over time, but I think art has to be created by humans. That's what I value more, because I value the human brain and its creativity. And if the idea is unique and very provocative, challenging, different, whatever, which medium it is produced in, which technology it is used, is irrelevant for me. And AI could be a great idea to support an artist to create something, but it has to be the artist who makes the origination of the idea first, and it must be responsible for the overall result of it. I agree with Alain that I think the competition will be tougher with this technological advances. So, but the buyers will be much bigger in numbers as well. People love these type of things, and whether they buy genuine art or not, I think is, as long as they are happy with it, why not? Why don't increase that 40,000? Actually, 40,000 is real, genuine buyers, and 20 works per year is quite substantial. So this party type of buyers could, if there are 2 million in the world, maybe they can be 10 million over the years. So there will be a new market, but I wouldn't call it an art market as we know it. I think just I have to answer your question in one half a minute. The more elusive the work, the more intrigued I am nowadays. I used to have this offside goal, direct messages, very easy to understand. When I started buying this new media, more conceptual works, I was happy to buy those. But over time, with maturity, I guess, some sort of a maturity, which I am probably halfway through yet, then it doesn't have to be something touchable or watchable. I mean, for me, if the idea is good, it's very intriguing, the questions asked in a performance, I prefer it because it's invisible, but knowing that somehow, someday, I wanna be able to have it performed excites me. So my wife doesn't agree with me. She says I am silly and don't care about how I spend our family money, but doesn't matter. This is a journey.
Say something about
Not really. I totally agree, both of you. Maybe just very short sentence, nothing new maybe. AI can create beautiful images, beautiful videos, but not art. Art is something related with human, I believe.
Yeah. What do you think?
Right.
Yeah. Question, if you ask you the question, what would be your answer?
Well, I am very much involved in the AI world, but I agree that it can only support your creativity.
So it can be a part of your creativity to boost where you're going to take it next, but not take part of your creativity.
Okay, so thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Normally, I have a question for you, Mr. Alain, but I think my question was about your way of collecting, your approach of collecting, which I think you made a very strong statement as everything except paintings and drawings. But this panel should be about what you are prefer to collect, not about what you don't prefer. So my question is, recently I read an article about what's media without technology, and as Gen Z, I always think about how was media without technology because I don't know any of it. So I am curious about what are your expectations for all of you? What are your expectations, or where do you draw the line between media and technology? Are you expecting any more beautiful engagements between them, or do you think there is possibility of media art without technology? Not AI, but I'm thinking about technology because of new improvements, new cameras, or everything.
So I think I said it before, and I think we all agree on that. Is the medium is not important, it's the ID counts. The ID counts. So whether you do it with drawings, even painting, I'll be honest, there are probably some good painters, but sometimes I make an example. I was with the chief curator of the Guggenheim once, and I said, who you think are the most important artists that we will remember forever in the last 20 years? And there was no painter. Okay, so I say, okay, good, that's not so bad. So medium, I think, honestly, is not important. As Agah said it, the ID. And the ID can be expressed in a movie, in a video, in a short film, in a whatever medium, or the performance, whatever you feel more comfortable with, and you believe in it, that you have something to express. Because that's the problem of a lot of artists today. I'm in juries of young artists very often. The problem is, at the time where we were in school, if you were saying to your parents, I'm going to become an artist, they would throw themselves in the Bosphorus, okay? Today, if you say, I want to be an artist because you don't like mathematics, physics, and you cannot wake up before 11 in the morning, then you say, okay, I want to become an artist. So the problem is that you finish school and you go and you have a studio with some friends, and then you're in front of a canvas because you learn nothing else. And you say, shit, I'm an artist now. So the problem, I have nothing to say. So first, have something to say, and then it doesn't matter what form. It can be theater, it can be whatever you want to express. It can be shouting in the streets. So I don't know if I'm answering the question, but the medium is not important. So you say, how do I recognize in the medium? It's simply because it tells me something I didn't know. okay? One of the first work, I give you a practical example because you seem not to understand. So the first work of art I bought in digital things was, again, Sibren Verstek. What it was the following. It was simply, why it was digital, it's because it was linked to the ticker that you have at the bottom of CNN, you know, the actual news now, you know, there's an explosion in blah, blah, blah. So it's now, always live. But the thing is that the writing is morphed into the Coca-Cola writing, you know, the very round Coca-Cola writing, and it's turning on a can, like if it was red can. So you have, in fact, a red can of Coca-Cola with the writing of Coca-Cola with the news of now, okay? And sometimes you had the drop of water coming through and so on. So, of course, you say, oh, that's so easy to make. But what was he saying is about one of the big problems of our world is that, you know, the news want to have something sensational. You know, all the news reports in Belgium are talking about there's snow. Then I write to my daughter, I said, is there snow? They said, there's no snow. Okay? So they're expecting snow, but they talk about it like if it was already there. So the problem is the Coca-Colaization or Disneyification of news that you want to think. So I said, wow, very smart comments. I don't care what medium. But this medium was fantastic because you have all the time the news of now. So I said, wow, whatever it is, I buy it. So that's what it is. It's also always about the idea. So is it clearer?
Yes, it's great.
Thank you.
But I think we have to accept that new technologies improve the visual effects of art. But in 5 years' time, we will be joking about what we have now. We think this is a fantastic improvement. I mean, what Refik Anadol does, all this incredible waves going around. I think 5-10 years later, it will look so primitive, most likely. So technology has its limits. But when this great idea, as you suggest, uses a new technology, probably it will be more effective in visualization to the audience than a typical photograph or thing. But that's only a temporary improvement, I guess. So we should never rely on technology.
Agah is optimistic. My dream is more that you, because you are much younger than us in the audience, you realize that you are manipulated by the technology and that you will start to think again with your brain. So, and that you will give up that phone. You know, I was yesterday with an artist, Vahap, and he had a son of 22 years old that actually, and it's so funny because he's studying in France and he decided to cut himself off the internet and everything. And he was in Paris and he threw his phone in La Seine, in the river. And a woman came to her and said, are you okay? You want to commit suicide or something like this? Because she could not believe someone your age was throwing their phone in the thing because you say, I'm going to die after this. So what I'm hoping for you all is that you will realize that technology must be at your service and not you at the service of the technology, because the way technology is implemented is making you slaves. You know, slave with the likes, slave with the everything. So, and that's why I'm begging you to still look at art and to be looking at challenging art, not the easy stuff, because all the technology wants you to take the easy choice. In a way, they want you to push in the blue pills and then never, ever you think about that there's an alternative reality. Go back to the real life, meet your friends, go to nightclubs to pick up guys rather than Tindering stuff. I mean, what a life. I mean, I'm so happy. I'm on the way out. And she's asking me about my collection, but, you know, she's right. I'm happy with it. So that's the only thing. I've got a different point of view. I'm hoping we're going to get rid of that technology and only keep the best of it that is useful. And probably it's difficult because those companies, they're making tons of money with us. So with you. So please think about it next time.
So,
That was another
any,
question.
okay.
Thank you. That's a positive statement. I wanted to ask,
what was the first, like you've been saying already, what was your first work that you have collected, and what was the latest work that you have collected, and why? What inspired you to collect that work?
To all of us or to Feride?
Maybe I start quickly because I told you the first work, the last work, if I remember right. Yes, it was a sculpture from Wahab. It looks like a bomb, missile bomb,
Yes,
metal
yes.
form, and there are Vita boxes, cans, konserve kutu, değil mi? Metal. And Vita, maybe it's most probably an international brand. It was, you know, the oil brand. And I remember my uncle played at an advertisement of it at a photo shoot when he was young. And the advertisement was telling that it was good instead of olive oil. It's better that you use that products. I think I don't exactly remember the name of the artwork by Wahab, but it was, you know, they came first with their products, their companies, their economy, and then they start bombing something like this. So it was a criticism about capitalism that I witnessed as well. So that was the last thing that I bought.
The first one, after selling all my paintings in 2008, the first new medium work was a video. It's about Diyarbakır, where the capital of Kurdish contingency in Turkey. There is an air base there, which is extremely noisy, the city. And they have this Turkish Air Force had a habit of flying very low to make more noise and to frustrate people even further. So this city is fighter jets flying all the time, etc. And this video is about a fighter jet. It's called Low Approach. A fighter jet flying with this extreme noise, but it disappears slowly on the video, but the noise continues. So as if, people there, this is how they feel. Whether there's an air fighter or not, doesn't matter. It's this extreme frustration they have been facing. That was representing that, the first one. I think I bought a few in quite similar times, but the one probably worth was telling you is about an interactive work of like a 1 meter to 1.5 meter to 1 meter, with made of beads, where there is a lot of barcodes on it. And when you show bring your phone next to the barcode, you can move into a link website where the women who are killed by their men, husbands, the brothers, fathers, cousins, relatives. It is a counter. Since 14 years, it's a website run by an NGO, which shows all the details of the people, and it's counting all the time. And we have, roughly speaking, around 500-600 deaths like that per year in Turkey. It's very, I think this was there all the time, but it's much more transparent right now. And the beads is actually the Y beads in the Turkish prisons, for male prisons. In order for them not to think of violent things, they make the prison officers make them to make different forms with beads, small beads. So this artist has done that barcode system of this sheet through the male prisoners.
It seems a fantastic work. And
Don't ask me. I forgot. Bushra. No, Bushra.
but that's remarkable.
I
That's
will-
exactly what's important. You know,
I will remember. I'm sorry about this.
Agah is not buying a name.
Çelik.
You know, he's not buying a brand.
Değil.
He's buying an ID, and this ID is amazing. The implementation, everything, and it's the same sometimes with me. I remember the ID vividly, but I forget the name of the artist sometimes. But there was one last question you had, I think.
Thank you for the amazing talk. Well, my question is maybe too abstract, but do we really need events like noise? I mean, do we need to follow this niche logic? Because it's a new media art fair. And I talked to some of the artists yesterday at the opening, and many of them share a sort of frustration by even participating in events like this, to being classified as a new media artist and carrying this etiquette on them, instead of being a part of a much broader ecosystem, which is also like, as you expressed, like party collectors and painters and et cetera, et cetera. Well, I don't have an answer, but I'm just curious, do we need it? Because at this stage of the development, we need more events like this, or user collectors, kind of not simply collectors, but also promoters and kind of people who place this artist in a much, on a bigger scale. Voilà.
May I start for answering? Because I'm one of the partner of this event, and I think yes, because the aim of this fair it's born from two artists. So there are two artists married who has a cause in life, and they have really very strong ideas, and they were disturbed about not having any space for explaining their ideas and to be seen. And the second one, it was in everywhere where you see art fairs on art events, you see the collectors, you see the works, but not the artist. When you are organizing a big long table, you invite the collectors, you invite the VIP people, but not artists. This is not an event, this is more an event, is a playground, is a free playground supported by two independent artists to make place for them. And why the name is Noise? It's for making some noise and to be heard by the people outside of this circle, because we are now 4 people on the stage. We are the supporters of artists from new media or old media, because new media, it will be the old media tomorrow. But the aim here is to be in relations and to listen to the others and to meet, to have this meeting area from all of perspective of the art scene. And I don't want to use the word art sector, because we were talking with Alain. He said many things in his collector lives came by surprises, and it was the nice thing. I studied history of art in France. It was a surprise for me, because I was supposed to make another discipline. And the art study changed my life, because I read other books and I meet the different people, and we have the same interest, cause, and this sense of humanism. So art, history of art study transformed my life and my being. And so Alain said the same, and you here. So I think that it's important to make this kind of events.
I will answer with an analogy. You know Spotify. you know that if you are, let's say that you are a specialized musician, on Spotify you're dying, okay? You're gonna have maybe 1 million listeners, 1 million, whatever it's called, mostly by accident, and you're gonna get 0.01 cents per listening. So, of course, the artists, everybody would like to be on Spotify, but they don't realize that on Spotify they will make no money. So if you bring a digital artist on the main fair, let's call it Basel even, no money because nobody cares about you. The alternative way of funding yourself is rather to have a subscription model, which means that you will have only 10,000 listeners. But those 10,000 listeners will bring you more than the 1 million. Okay? And whether you like it or not, that's the fact that you are doing something specialized. The fact of being a woman is not a specialty anymore. It was a few years ago, except that in Istanbul, to tell you the truth, there's only women everywhere. Okay? Every single exhibition is about women. I'm so surprised, from Depot, from everywhere. So, sorry, I mean, someone said a few years ago, you're white, heterosexual male, nobody cares about what you're saying right now. So that's what it is. But think about the analogy. Spotify, you want to be on the big scene, nobody cares for you. If you're not gathering 10,000 only followers, you need to have something specific. So it's very well to dream, but you are really not realistic. If you don't bring some specialist here, no one will care. If you do something like this in a big fair, no one will care. So it's better to have someone coming specially here and doing something. That's what I think about the interest of this kind of fair.
One announcement. The artist's name is Zeren Gökten. Sorry about that. I am ashamed of myself. It's a very difficult name to remember, but I have to.
Want to add something on this?
Not really. I think all well said. Thank you.
So, thank you for coming, for listening to us. And thank you to all to
Thank you,
part of this
Bihter.
panel.